My music upbringing was pretty conventional. I started piano lessons when I was 4. I was classically trained. In like the classical realm, if you don't play it exactly like, you know, Liszt or Chopin wrote it, it's wrong. As a creator, especially like in the electronic music domain, you really have to think outside the box and do things that aren't necessarily right. But as long as it sounds good and it moves people and it makes you feel a certain way, then that's all right really is, you know. That's it. And then it's the drop.
So this is actually the first launchpad I got, and I have like several dozens, I think, now. So it's the original first version of the launchpad.
The first time I was actually aware of, you know, the launchpad was in, I think, 2011 when Madeon put out Pop Culture.
I play pop culture like 100 times a year, so it's like, it goes like two. I'm French, so I'm really attached to sample culture, but I always forbade myself from sampling songs in my own music. It's not very difficult. And I kind of wanted to do one song where it was the exact opposite. Instead of using no samples, I'd be using all the samples. I kind of had a few of the samples in my head already, and I kind of knew what I wanted to do, so I started chopping it up, mapping it on the grid, and recording a few takes. I was just really excited about it. It felt fun to perform. It felt, to me, it was less about performing something difficult and more about being able to do something different every time. This is like deeply associated with the first couple of touring years of my life, and I guess it still works. Cutie. I thought I was gonna do like 5,000 views, so that was kind of my milestone goal, or maybe like my fantasy, my unspoken fantasy was 100,000 views. Suddenly, it was clear that my life was gonna be different, and that this idea was gonna be meaningful to me in a way that I didn't predict.
I love his music. He's incredible. Like, you know, he's really an incredible songwriter and musician, overall producer, everything.
The vibe and the musicality of that piece was just awesome. You're taking all these really popular songs that people can relate to and gluing them all together to make something even more awesome.
Pop Culture by Madeon, that was incredible, but it wasn't until I saw M4 Sonic's first video, Weapon, I was like, that is what I need to be doing, because it had the instant, like, drumming, you know, dexterity of like a piano player, and it was live and it wasn't quantized.
It was only when my mates saw me play these things, I'd have them around and show them what I'd created. They said, you have to film this, you have to put this on YouTube. It started to accumulate video views and more people shared it. And within 6 months of these videos becoming viral, I found myself in front of 10,000 people with a launchpad. It was brand new. This type of sampling hadn't been done on the launchpad. And it was met with a lot of challenges, technological challenges, but also human challenges. It's a lot of brain power to memorize and to execute these performances 100%. There were plenty of times where I would go out of time. But I think that was the human element. It was quite obvious that what I was doing was real. It wasn't this sort of touch a button once and let the machine do it. It was legit. The trend has moved now towards a more visual representation of the sounds. We're seeing a lot more light shows and these really intense visual LED feedback shows.
One of M4 Sonic's videos in 2013 had a light show aspect where he has his M4 module, but it was Nev that really had the first light show, you could call it, in the sense that things were reacting like crazy, or the first that I had seen.
I had no vision when I started. I didn't know what they could do, like what they were capable of. It was just, I want to get one and try it and see where it goes. Light shows were extremely important in my first videos because they made them stand out and no one was doing anything that crazy at the time. So they really gave me an edge over anyone else who was doing anything.
If I had to describe Nev's style, it would just be ridiculous production quality with insane game-changing visuals.
I feel like he was the conductor of an LED orchestra and he just dazzled his audience with these incredibly technical covers of songs.
It kind of opened up a different dimension to the whole Launchpad thing where it's not just playing, it's a visual thing too.
It's a really great way to kind of do a little bit more with the performance and make it a little bit more visually interesting while also still maintaining the integrity of the actual live performance. My process is always, how do I want to perform this? Because I'm never starting with sounds and then I'm kind of improvising it. It's always, I make a song and I'm like, how do I want to perform this? Unlike Nev, who does a lot of geometric shapes, which he's the king at, I try to do more picture type things. You're familiar with Zelda, the heart capsule that shows your HP, and so this is basically that heart capsule. And slowly there's a heart that it's like a reference from Legend of Zelda. In Sit Still Look Pretty, I have the prayer emoji, but it just comes together and claps. They're kind of like Easter eggs. Playing video games, a bunch growing up as a kid, and now writing music for video games, Easter eggs are I love Easter eggs. The whole point of this is you're doing it for yourself, to kind of have more fun, with the performance.
I think what makes a great performance video is doing something that looks unbelievable. It doesn't even have to be overly complicated. It can just be pure technical skill. There's nothing wrong with starting out and just playing and recording and putting it online, as long as every time you try something new and force yourself to do something better. Find your own style and really try to wow people. I think that's the best starting point.
Being a Launchpad creator like this, it's definitely something that takes a lot of dedication. Actually getting started and making it, it's not easy.
People think, oh, they can just pump these out, but in reality, my release schedule is kind of every half a year.
M4Sonic and I used to have this conversation where it was oh man, how many takes did it take you to get that one perfect? It's oh dude, 57. It wasn't a contest, but it was kind of this, this battle scar.
My Havana remix especially, that took almost 7 hours to record. I think I stayed up until about 4 in the morning trying to get that recording done.
I used to kill myself recording videos 40 or 50 times so that I, never missed a note. But I found that actually when you mess up in the performance and put that one publicly, people find it a lot more genuine. The problem a lot of people have is they'll nitpick. I think I found a good mentality to know when to stop. I'm like, yes, this is done, this is ready, and I'm not gonna look at it anymore.
When light effects came along, it sort of, it made that sort of almost split community that we have now. It was mostly Nev and M4Sonic at the start, M4Sonic being the very audio-focused side and just the performance, and then Nev sort of introducing the whole, flashy light side of it, and then I obviously expanded on that when the RGB Launchpad came out.
I think this has divided Launchpad users. I think we now have purely entertainment users and we have musicians. When people ask me about light shows, it's kind of like asking a 5-star Michelin chef what he thinks of a fast food chain. And I mean this in the nicest way. A lot of people enjoy it, but is it at its core a musical performance, or is the technology actually doing more than the user?
There's so many videos out there which are just kind of nothing. Like they're horrible. They're just pressing like 2 buttons and they get like 20 million views. And you gotta feel a bit kind of annoyed, jealous maybe.
I think the biggest threat to Launchpad videos right now are people faking it, putting out video after video, you know, every day or every week that are pretty obviously not legit.
I've had a lot of experience where people in the comments will say, oh, that's fake, that button was doing this sound and now it's doing another sound. Just because you don't understand it doesn't mean that it's fake, but that also leads me to something that I have seen going on where there are genuinely fake performances. I feel like all of us want the culture to succeed, but when the stigma is, oh, this is fake because there are people actually faking it, I feel like that pulls all of us down.
It'll become known that, oh, this is just another fake LightShow video, even though, you know, the one you did might be a genuine performance that you worked your ass off for.
I felt like the Launchpad was an iconic design, like really clearly. It feels like a shape and like a layout that can be recognizable by anybody. There's an elegance to a piano, for instance. One key is one note and you get it. With this, it's kind of similar to a piano. It's like you see a square, you hear a sound that comes with it, so anybody can look at it and see someone use it and have a sense of what's going on.
It really like makes me stand out, you know. Not only that, but like personally, it's fun. I just, you know, find a lot of joy in performing that way.
The community has grown ridiculously fast. There's literally thousands of YouTube channels now that are just dedicated to performing on Launchpad. There's whole forums that will answer any question you have.
The community, I think, is what really ties it all together. You're making it for yourself, but you're making it for others. It's seeing how they react to it and what they think that really motivates you and keeps that drive up.
At this infancy of Launchpad culture and finger drumming culture, it's really important for everybody to kind of try and push the culture forward so it can continue to grow and continue to become more widely accepted and more mainstream, because I don't think there's anything wrong with that. The bigger it gets, the more it forces people like me to try to innovate and to be at the top of my game as much as possible, or somebody else is going to do it and be better, and that's what I want.
I'm just a totally normal person. I'm not special in any way. And so having people give admiration to me it's really unusual. I think that says a lot about YouTube, that regular people can just go out there and make something huge for themselves.
I've made this my life for 7 years. And when I say I made it my life, I mean I made it my life. Every day, all day. If I wasn't sleeping, that's what I was doing.
The best way to describe creators is they're just really motivated, creative people who want to share their vision with the world. And no matter what it takes, they'll do it.